she's doing.
I don't need a fork to peel off this one. I mean, a fork would, you know, like this. I mean, see?
Any hesitation on what's on for me is darkness, guy Harvey. Thank you.
John, thank you very much for that lovely, warm introduction. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to SeaWorld here in Orlando. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you here, with the orcas in attendance as well. Pretty magnificent animals that otherwise we don't really get a chance to see in the wild. They're kind of well dispersed around the world and not very common. So we're lucky to have them here under the maintenance of SeaWorld. While I was doing my signing sessions twice today, a lot of people ask me, you know, how do you start, where do you come from, what do, you have a funny accent, blah, blah, blah. and I can give you the quick 5-minute story that culminates in the new book that you've just seen today. I grew up in Jamaica. Our family came to Jamaica in the 1600s, 1664, which, if you know your history, is only 9 years after the Spanish were kicked out by the British in the Caribbean. And so we go a long way back. And we grew up on a large cattle farm. And I was lucky enough to have parents who loved the outdoors. They loved fishing, loved a bit of hunting. My mother was a great naturalist, a bird watcher, and very into nature. And it was by association with them, their love of nature, that I got into the art. But I got into science as well because I wanted to study marine sciences, fishery biology, fishery management, and I did my PhD at the University of West Indies in Kingston, Jamaica. Finished in '84, stayed on as a professor for a bit, and was doing informal art shows and fishing tournaments, and was picked up by a guy who had a t-shirt company in Fort Lauderdale, and he was a big fisherman and he printed fish shirts. And I signed a contract with them in 1986, and the rest is history. Yeah. It really is. We went from strength to strength. My hobby became my profession. Kind of cool. And about 12 years later, we formed the Harvey Research Institute in Nova Southeastern University and the Harvey Ocean Foundation. And that's the entity that works with SeaWorld in our research, education, and conservation efforts today. During the pandemic, it was a tough time for everybody. We were under serious lockdown and curfew in the Cayman Islands where I now live. And what better use of your time than to embark on writing a new book? I've been waiting for this opportunity for 10 years to have the time to devote. I spent 100 days writing this new book, putting together all the images, photographs, artwork that had been inspired by 20 years of expeditions into one volume. So that's what we have here. It's our showpiece at the signing events at the waterfront store. And if you don't have one yet, you should get one. It's a good chronology. There's a lot of marine science, a lot of exploration, a lot of research, a lot of education, all packed into one volume, so to speak. Now you may wonder, well, what's our relationship with SeaWorld based on? And it's based on the need to educate the public about issues that face our marine environment, not just marine mammals, that you see around you here, but all kinds of marine life that is so overexploited generally, mostly through commercial fishing, which is a very wasteful process, that we got to this point where just about every species you can think of, everything you eat, like lobsters or conch or fish or tuna or shrimps or whatever, is on a downward trend from a management perspective. So we have to stop this, the attrition of marine life generally, also through pollution, coastal development, all sorts of other things like plastic in the ocean, climate change are all negatively affecting life in the ocean generally. It's not just the big guys out there who are affected, everybody's affected. So in my closing, I want to ask you to educate yourselves about the issues that face our oceans. Our organizations like SeaWorld, my foundation are all helping educate yourselves about the issues, what's going on. Look closely at what you eat in terms of marine seafood, and make the necessary changes. Otherwise, by 2050, it's going to get pretty dark and pretty grim in terms of our overconsumption, overdevelopment, and this overpopulation. I want to end on a happy note, because marine ecosystems are very resilient. We see that during the pandemic with no tourists for a year in Cayman. The reefs bounced back, the seagrasses, the fish, everything kind of exploded, and everybody had gone for a year, so that's a pretty quick time. Can you imagine if we had protection for 5 years, what a change there would be?
Yeah.
So it's not over yet. Just asking you to get involved, and in supporting our programs, my art, our licensed items, our shirts, everybody who buys something that we make is supporting ocean education, conservation, and ocean management. So we thank you for that. All right, to wrap up, remember when you finish, you can come down and get your photo signed, and anything else you want to purchase. I will be back at the waterfront store at about 5 o'clock until the lights go out, okay?
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
for coming. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey.